But again, I think the game still needs to be a little bit quieter. Text speed, maximum text speed. Hopefully that's not too fast. Again, we can always change things if we have to. London. I remember I used to like trading a lot. Monsieur Phileas Fogg returned home early from the Reform Club and a newfangled steam carriage besides. I helped him down, and the iron-lunged, steam-driven horses cattered away. Passepartout, he said. We're going around the world. Around the world, monsieur, I asked, utterly astonished. We should circumnavigate the globe within 80 days. He was quite calm as he approached this wild scheme. We leave for Paris at the 8:25 in an hour. Clearly, you are in jest. I told him with a dignified affront. You make a mock of me, monsieur. I'm quite serious. Pack an altimeter and my evening jacket. There's not a moment to waste. How long does it take to go around the world now? Like 24 hours at most? You, Passepartout, now have funds. Your character is now polished. We have 4,000 pounds. How much is 4,000 pounds in 1872? I feel like that's quite a bit of money. New routes have been discovered. And again, the game is still too loud. Okay. So we shall embark. Departs in 43 minutes. The suitcase van has space for one suitcase, which will suffice. Travel. This promises to be a bearable route. Look at our fancy-ass robot horse. So yeah, so let's see. What cities... Is there any cities near where I live? Toronto is there, but it's not in Toronto at all. Ottawa's way off. I think Quebec City's roughly right. Burlington, Washington, New York. I don't remember how far I got last time. Okay. The mechanical horses raced past Riccardi Circus and the Pall Mall faster than a team of thoroughbreds. Even so, the whistle of the 8:25 was blowing as we pulled up to the Charing Cross station. We have no tickets, I exclaimed. That does not signify. Monsieur Fogg remarked over his shoulder as we hurried towards the platform. We must not miss this train. Yeah, Montreal doesn't exist. They got rid of it. Just plowed it right into the St. Lawrence. I rushed after him and we left aboard. Just another train whistle pierced the air. The guard raised his thick brows as we settled into our nearby compartment. He held out his hands. Ticket, please. Alas, monsieur! We are in a great hurry, I explained, giving him the beach-pleased look. We didn't have time to buy tickets. You may purchase them from me, the guard was saying. Though it is more expensive, I'm afraid. 85 pounds, please. I argued with him, or rather I began to, but Monsieur Fogg interrupted. Passepartout, you'll pay the sum at once, he put in coldly, and remunerate this man for his patience. I handed the man 85 pounds and smiled a thin smile. From one working man to another, the guard gave me our ticket and slid the compartment door shut behind his somewhat pneumatic hiss. Your funds have now gone down somewhat. 85 pounds. 85 pounds. In 1872. London's smog gave way to the rolling hills and pastures of the Kentish countryside, still untouched by the hand of technological advancement. Monsieur Fogg read his papers, whilst I repacked our bags. Thrown together in haste and confusion, as afternoon turned inexorably into evening, I discovered that my master was one of those gentlemen who broke their silence rarely, if at all. A guard rapped at our door. A few miles toward Dover. We are about to submerge, he warned. Take some people a bit funny, so watch out. But it's safe, is it not? I asked, a trifle nervously. I've done this route 300 times and haven't drowned, the guard replied carelessly. Every inch of the Anthnwam Express has been examined and stamped with the artificer's seal. This is the world's only bathy-scathed locomotive. I pressed my face to the window glass as the fins above the Anthnwam's wheels extended with a hydraulic hiss. Night fell and we plunged past the night track into the freezing water of the English Channel. That's fine, it's an underground train. It's 1872, they have underground trains. I don't have an underground train. The Anthnwam plunged through the water overnight and splashed up onto wider gauge. French tracks of Calais as we broke down. Do you have a route in mind, monsieur? I asked as the water of the channel dried the compartment windows. I am yet undecided, my master admitted. The new canal has sped up the shipping route from Suez to Bombay, so perhaps we could take the Trans-Siberian Railway across Russia. Surely not Siberia, I explained. It is cold and grim, and I have a particular fear of bears. Then we will do well to buy first, he replied, refraining from rolling his eyes. There are all alternatives. We can travel over land or across the Black and Caspian Sea. Well, which is the fastest? I believe he said. That is what we shall put to the test. Parbleu! I scarcely knew what to think. We arrived at the Père du Nord just after 1 o'clock. Automation porters lifted our luggage and then our persons onto the platform with a long, delicacy flinked iron arms. Paris, a city in my heart. I was home, but not to stay. This steampunk 1877. So we know we can go from Suez to Jeddah down to Aden, and then over to Bombay. Or we go from Moscow to Ertenberg to Omsk, over to Ursk, and then down to Vladivostok. And here we go, we're in Paris. Again, we can't pause the game, so let's go to the market. Part of the Gentleman Traveler set. I know some of these things you need to do in order to, you know, not take health damage. We're 2,300 in Berlin, so yeah, let's buy you. Gentleman's Guide, but I'm pretty sure that's way too big. Worth valuable in Copenhagen, Warsaw, and Budapest. I'm sure we'll probably pass through one of those. You know, but let's ignore the rest of this for now. Let's close our luggage. Let's explore. News has been discovered, so we can go from Paris to Amsterdam to Munich. We want to go to Berlin to sell this bottle of wine we have. We have a few hours to spare, asked Monsieur Fogg, if I might enjoy the city before we leave. Indeed, and you should learn anything of note, be sure to relay it, but do not waste any time. We do not have time to spare. I nodded and headed into town. The talk of the streets were of only one thing, an enormous, elegant old stadium constructed upon the green fields of Champ de Mars, and containing the technological marvels, arts, amusement parks, and milling crowds of the World's Fair of 1872. My city still wore the scars of last year's siege, as did I. Paris and France had surrendered to the Prussian army after 4.5 months of grim, blood-soaked resistance in the Franco-Prussian War. Now this World Fairs was intended to reassure the country's citizens and the world also that the City of Light was still a great capital of the world. I did not doubt that. And I could not afford to lose myself within the huge exposition. So I enjoyed a brief cup of coffee and then returned to my master armed with some options for the next leg of our journey. I think we want to go towards Berlin. So we either go to Munich and then up, or we go to Amsterdam. Arrives Friday. Right now it's Wednesday. Our luggage. What are you worth? You're worth a lot in Copenhagen, Warsaw, and Budapest. So Amsterdam to Berlin to Warsaw. I mean, that seems reasonable to me. We lose 5 HP on this. We gotta leave it tomorrow before 5 p.m. Okay. So let's take a night in Paris. We're only on day 3 and we've only gone through one city, so I feel like that's kind of slow progress. But we'll see. We took a hotel for the night. We'll be comfortable here, Monsieur Fogg remarked, but traveling overnight will often be more efficient. Where possible. We cannot travel where it is not possible, certainly, he replied. Still, the surrounds of the hotel rich are more enjoyable. At least that hotel doesn't, I don't think, cost us any money, which is funny. Yeah, so let's go here. We can only afford 1 suitcase. Good thing I only pack 1 suitcase. We got a private car in 1872. Is the actual book also steampunk? We found a member of the Coachmakers Guild to carry us to Amsterdam. She loaded the case onto the back, stoked the broil, and took off in a high speed along the coastal road, swerving around each corner with considerable skill, and I think with a touch of recklessness. I clung on tight. This would be a terrific ride. Your character is now presentable. I think you are my monsieur. Take a screenshot overview. I visited 1 city. Paris World Press, a roaring success. Well, that's good. Once or twice, the metal rim wheels lifted the chassis clear from the road on one side, only to bump down after a chuff and puff of the engine. We must have top 40, perhaps even 50 miles per hour. Oh my god. Unthinkable. A fabulous way to travel. The Polish inventor Bozak, who had first attached a perfectly decent locomotive engine underneath a flimsy wooden crate, was certainly a genius. Such cars are growing in popularity, starting from their use in farmsteads and extending up through the classes. It is said that the King of Sweden even drove one, though presumably only to show solidarity with the beleaguered potato farmers. As we rattled along, I spoke to our driver. So cars are only owned by poor people. The rich people, they don't want anything to do with the cars. As we rattled along, I spoke to our driver about what lay ahead, and learned that some buyers are willing to pay for geometric equipment in Prague. So you're now also worth money in Prague as well. Okay, so European carriages list. We're $7,200 in Munich. Okay, and that should give us more routes. I mean, go to Berlin to Munich. Yeah, I mean, it's worth money. And if we can get the money going now, I honestly think it's worth it. Yeah, we come down to, like, towards Turkey. Towards the Middle East. And then maybe, yeah, Suez. I don't even know. Was the Suez Canal done yet? I don't know. We can't even go to Berlin until 2 days from now. Departs tomorrow. 16 HP loss. 620 for tomorrow. Tomorrow at 8 a.m. Okay. It's going to cost a lot of money, but again, I think that's kind of what we have to do. What's the bank do for us? We must visit the bank. A robbery, monsieur? Certainly not. He replied firmly, but I do suppose my entire fortune in the carpet bag under your suitcase. I did not answer. As the bank entered, a small favor, yada yada. You wish to make a withdrawal of funds? I warn you, it may take some time. We can't afford even a single day, I declared. We stepped out of the bank. Yeah, so let's explore for today. We've discovered a new route to go straight to Munich. The people of Amsterdam move along its canal streets with a sense of optimism and great cheers. One look at their building tells another story. Perhaps 200 years ago, this was the center of the world, but these days, tulips are no longer considered more valuable than gold, and the importance of Amsterdam is a little faded. I sympathize. Bonjour, France's opposition is in a precarious state. The war of Prussia, which did not, to put it mildly, resolve in our favor. Would I walk along the Seine one day, thinking back of her old days of lost glory? I approached a street peddler for advice, who greeted me with a cheerful smile beneath a caterpillar-like mustache. We are going around the world, I declared. Aha, he replied. You like the influenza? The peddler reached into his pocket. Buy an apple, £1. I bought it. Took with a smile. What's the fast way on from here? Car, I suppose. The roads are good. The canals used to be better, but now they almost seem out of date, he sighed. It's a curse to be rich in the past. By the time the future rolls around, you are poor again. Maybe you'll rich again sometime, I remarked, more from sheer optimism than any true conviction. I think the peddler moved on. Your funds have gone down a touch. Okay, so we have to leave by 8 in the morning. So it's like as soon as it hits daytime. Okay, you're back at 90 HP. Okay. Got him up. Your relationship with Fogg has improved slightly. And now we shall depart. Go to Berlin. Okay, we're getting +4 because we're now in the, we're a little bit of a gentleman. A little bit of a gentleman, for sure. Our next leg was another short trip in a car. I bounded in, eager to get started. We hired the same driver as before. You too, she exclaimed. Get in! Begin conversation. Greetings, driver. I cannot drive while you're talking to me. According to my time tower, Berlin is connected to Munich. Speaking of carriages, I understand that there's regular service from road from Bangalore to Madras. The fare is fairly high. After that, Munich to Vienna? Munich to Belgrade. Prague. We want to go to Prague, right? I mean, actually, let's go to Budapest. We know there's a road from here. There's neither a bank nor market in Belgrade. Really? That's Budapest. I'm gonna go to Budapest. Okay, well, you know, I didn't need to know. But there's Budapest here. Arrives next Saturday. As we depart Amsterdam for Berlin, I begged Monsieur Fogg to allow me to turn at the wheel. He looked at our driver, who smiled and happily moved to one side. The wheel beneath my hands felt like nothing I experienced before. Almost an electric sensation, as though thunderstorms rippled inside the wood itself. I drove by sheer instinct, quite without a thought of the mechanism involved that, presumably, is how we became a cropper. I confessed. Okay, he didn't like that. I confess I drove like a loon. Had I done differently, my Gallic blood would have boiled. As it was ever so slightly spilt. Far worse was the expectation on my master's face. An hour later, the car was fixed, and we were able to drive on. Okay, apparently I just wasted time by crashing the car. So, good work on me there. I hardly trust you to tend to my person. Then why would you bring me on this trip around the whole world? You don't trust me. We made good progress, but not enough to recover from our lost time. Toot, my friends, toot. Sword driver asked silently, why are you going to Berlin anyway? We're going around the world. By car? By car, train, airship, whatever we can find. She nodded. You should go south in Africa, she said. The Zulus near Udine have a long-distance airship across the world. That was the extent of our discussion. She returned driving. Okay. We could go down there. Beep. The road fell beneath our Dodgarner. Finally, we'd come in sight of tiled roofs, the harbor, and the smell of herring. We arrived in Berlin. So we are going to immediately read these apples of interest of official, earnest, and soldier types. Are you so good here as well? No. Caribbean timetable. I mean, these usually cost like 1 or 2 pounds. Khartoum, part of the railway man set. I mean, we have 2 baggage, like luggage, so might as well carry it. We also don't need these. Like, I think once we bought them once, we don't need them again. Seems like you made an excellent trade. Thank you. I should just become like a traveling merchant. Go from New Orleans to Port-au-Prince. From Caracas, probably up to Port-au-Prince as well. And then we go again to the market. Immediately sell this for £1. There you go. You can have it back. What are you? You are... Yeah, 7,200 Munich. Also, we don't need 2 luggage carts for now. We'll keep the second one, but we might not need it. Okay, went for late night stroll. Along the avenue passed groups of people drinking at low tables. I sat with a man who was demonstrating various engine noises. Are you a driver? He said. The best in Germany. Can you prove such a claim? Certainly. I'll be starting a 4-day trip to Bucharest via Prague and Budapest tomorrow morning. I should only do the trip in 3. Prague, Vienna, Budapest. But I want to go to Munich. You arrived today. I mean, I know you're worth a lot of Munich, but I think we're actually wasting a lot of time. Look at this car, dude! Hell yeah! We got our German friends list offer to take a lift as far as Budapest. Thinking we could join them in a faster train service for the rest of the journey. We got in the back and we started the engine, feeding and oil. The car seemed different than the Bozeks that we've seen up to now. German made, our driver insisted. And I peered at it more closely. It seemed a few improvements had been made to the design. Your own handiwork, I asked. The man nodded. My name is Goleb Gamlier. The man said, this is my pride and joy. There are still little details I'm not happy with. He chewed his mustache. What in particular? I began to think, he trailed off. Has too many wheels. Monsieur Fogg did not make a note of the car and consulted his watch every few minutes. He was, I think, counting each revolution of the wheels and computing our speed. Shape must... Okay, we made your mustache a little bit nicer. In the midday, we passed through Prague. The car slowed to a crawl as we weaved through the crowds. I caught a glimpse of the airship behind a line of houses. Do I get on the airship? And took a spontaneous decision, opening the car door and grabbed our cases. Monsieur Fogg and I jumped from the vehicle. Okay, let's stay in a hotel. Standing beneath the astronomical clock in Prague's bustling square, it was easy to believe that we were standing in the center of a town of great artifactors. All engaged in creating wondrous works, and mechanical wonders. But of course, the clock was built a long time ago by more ancient and far wiser artificers than those who employed in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Monsieur Fogg glanced at his pocket watch and back at the great dial and gave a gentle snort of derision. Something is wrong, I asked? You might say, with an expression as if it was satisfaction of his usually immaculate face. The clock is 3 seconds slow. This country is in the grip of the past, I answered, but Monsieur Fogg demurred with surprising equanimity. Not so, Passepartout, he replied. It is merely oppressed, but I'm sure one day her August Majesty, Queen Victoria, will hold sway here as well. Come, before we slow ourselves. Well, we got to explore to figure out how to get out of here. Okay, we can go all the way to Odessa, but I want to go to Budapest because we have money. Rather than leave immediately, we took some time to browse the winding streets. Okay, let's look at the airships. Christian Charles Brave met a woman from the airship crew. I asked about her flights. I am no airwoman, she admitted. But my beloved is. And there he goes, all the way to Cairo aboard one of the buzzards. To Cairo, you say? She nodded. The Emperor's own sponsored line. They say he travels aboard incognito. My beloved will work a few months, and then we'll have enough to get married. Congratulations, I told her. She smiled and turned to tossing pebbles into the language soon. So you'll just take us straight to Cairo. You're worth a lot in Cairo. Cold climate. We're not... I think we're going to go through Africa. You're also worth a lot in Cairo. But no, it's valuable here. We're not going to go to Munich. Let's buy this instead. And honestly, let's go to Cairo. The part's tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Okay, so we have some time. And we can bring 4 suitcases. So is there anything else we want in Prague? Playing cards. I mean, we might as well. Seasickness pills could be useful. The Russian gentleman. Cold. I mean, I don't think we're going to go to cold climates that much. You open at 11 o'clock? Oh, I should have probably slept, huh? You didn't like that. The hotel was too expensive. We had no option but to curl up in a shady spot under a tree like wild dogs. You know, you can join us. You didn't like that. I bid them join us. Okay, so... He doesn't like me very much, but I let the homeless guy sleep with us. 220 pounds. But I mean, if it goes straight to Cairo from Prague, that seems really good. Like, how do you pass that up? Making our way to the airport, we found the buzzards mentioned a woman on the bridge. These provided safety trips, which we dutifully use. And why is they so? As the vessel took off, it's rocketed into the sky with hammer-like force that pressed us in our seats. I do believe Monsieur Fogg beamed with delight. Here was a discovery which could do wonders for his calculations. Your character is now presentable. We'll groom him a little bit. I feel a little bit better thanks to your attentions. The first day was reasonably quiet on board. I spent my time attending to my master. My master was ensuring his absolute comfort. A good thing I did. A particular bad bout of turbulence hit somewhere over Budapest, and he turned all green. I wanted to get help from a steward, but by the time I had found one and returned to bouncing, rolling companionship, my master was quite lost his lunch. I wish I had a valet, the elder gentleman remarked, as we all bedded down for the night above the clouds. Oh, he can be quite tiresome, I lied sympathetically. That I don't believe. He shook his head, but I am too much of an old crock to change my habits all the same. I nodded to him, and he trotted off along the aisle. Around Casanova with you? How very tedious. Look, my dude. After waking several miles up, the air was a strange experience. Perhaps it was so even the birds who slept on the wing. Still, I am not one to complain. I awoke half an hour before my master and went to collect some hot water from the boiler room so I could shave him when he awoke. With hours still traveled by, I passed the time watching the scenery go by. Even a valet must take time off. As evening settled in, the crew lit little gas lamps. That seems very dangerous, set into the ribs of the ship, and a long queue for a single bathroom began to form. Okay, he's at like 66 happiness. Greetings, madame. My husband would like to talk to you as well, I'm quite sure. Begin conversation about Cairo. I have nothing to say. Well, thanks. Where's Luxor? Private car from Cairo to Suez, but the journey is a tiring one. We don't want to go to Alexandria. You know what? That's fine. I mean, we go from Suez. I mean, Luxor is down here. What about... Must have flown overnight at incredible speed because by the morning the captain was already able to point out the coast of Africa approaching. I leant over the rail of the ship with the other lords and ladies aboard. I can see a giraffe, cried a small boy to his mother, who patted the child in return but did not disabuse him of his illusion. What he really seen, I think, was a tethering mast, which grew larger and larger until finally one of our sailors threw an anchored line around and grappled us into place. From here, they were winched down to the ground to set foot into Egypt. Is Egypt is it a British colony yet at this point? I don't know. The Zoetrope could earn us well here. 500 bucks, not bad. Jeddah, Dubai, and Bombay. Ginger tablets. In Baku. That's in like Azerbaijan. We're not going to go all the way up there. I mean, let's buy it anyway. It's only 15 pounds. You know what? Immediately go to Suez. Don't even waste our time. If we can go there one day, we should. We found a private driver to take us to Suez. The journey was quick enough to the roads in Egypt were surprisingly well maintained, and the car itself ran efficiently. I didn't want to tempt fate, so I stayed quiet, and we arrived in Fuss about an hour later. Okay, so sleep here. You're about half HP. The uniformed lamplighters lit the gas lamps as the sun set over Suez, bathed in the wide avenues of the city in a smoky yellow glow. I wonder about the city, whether Suez's newfound fortune and wealth would prove enduring, and what would grow in place of the stylish hotels and manicured gardens if it did not. Anything in the market here? Desert Traveler set? That's going to be important. Heavy Storm set could be useful. Warm Climate beer. We've already have that. Anything we don't need. We can already sell this here for more than I paid for it. How much if we depart down to Adon? You can have 10 things of luggage. Okay. Okay, let's explore a little bit, see if you can find any new routes. I think a cup of tea in an extravagant little tea shop in Suez. I could sell my wool clothes. I guess that makes sense. It was packed to the brim with rich traders and adventurers. I was attempting to get some service despite unruly customers when a dark-skinned personage in an impeccably tailored but oil-stained jacket entered. I caught the well-dressed man's eye. He came over to my table and greeted me in a softly accented French. Olivier Lapeau, driver and pilot at your service. Passepartout, valet and traveler, I replied. Traveler, then. He took my hand. My ship, the Guama, departs soon on our maiden voyage. Where are you headed? We're coming to the capital of Khartoum in Sudan. I mean, I do kind of want to go to Sudan. I guess it's closer. Yeah, I think we're going to go to. I think we're going to go down.